Hi, my name is Jeff Dragon from North Shore Retirement. And this video is all about how to minimize your taxes on your Social Security benefits. I know, it's a dry topic. I'm going to try to make it as real as possible to your own situation. So, Social Security was created by the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration back in the 30s because it was we had the Depression, and there was another pretty serious recession in 1933, which was pretty ugly too. So they started creating shovel-ready jobs under the National Recovery Act in 1932, 1933. And the idea was to create municipal projects where people could get jobs and get pay and feed their family and live. And it was pretty bad back then. Unemployment was almost 30-40%. It was ridiculous. So the problem is the shovel-ready projects were truly shovel-ready projects where you had to use a shovel, and if people back then who were in their 60s and 70s who still needed an income, even in their 80s, still needed their income and couldn't wield the shovel quite like the 20-year-olds could or the 30-year-olds could. So it was seen that they needed something, a social insurance net that would cover them just in case they hadn't saved enough money for retirement or planned for it. And a lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't have any money back then to do it with. So the Social Security was created, and it was funded by payroll taxes that came out of people's paycheck. Back then it was 4%. In the 50s and 60s and 70s, it got bumped up to 6.2%. So they take out 6.2% of your paycheck. They put that into the Social Security fund for everyone to use, not just you. Okay, there's some legislation about trying to save the Social Security benefits, trying to save the social insurance net that we've created here by bumping up that payroll taxes up to 7.4%. I believe it's a guy named John Larson or Carson, a Democrat from Connecticut, who's trying to work on that right now. And maybe it gets passed, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Roosevelt even stacked the Supreme Court with justices that he knew would be sympathetic to this idea of a social insurance net, which is nothing new. The Europeans had been doing it for years. We had been doing it with Railroad Recovery Act, and sometimes the Civil War pensions and the Revolutionary War pensions that were created for those veteran soldiers who came back from the war. So well, people do know this, but especially if they're receiving Social Security benefits, these benefits are taxable. And it was never meant to be taxable. Delano Roosevelt never wanted them taxable before. And what do? They take it out with payroll taxes, and when they pay it back to you, they tax you again. That sound like a good idea? Something you like? No, it isn't, but that's how it is. So how can we minimize our tax hit on these Social Security benefits that were derived from our payroll taxes, and we get taxed again on it? Which, as I said, seems pretty unfair. So the Federal Insurance Contribution Act of 1939, the FICA, created the payroll tax portion of it. So what are ways that you can get around this? Well, a couple of obvious ones. You can live somewhere where there's no income tax, like Alaska, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota. They've got the list here somewhere. Alaska even pays you to live there. They will actually pay you to be a citizen of the great state of Alaska. Florida has no income tax. It has no state income tax because they want, it's not just a sunny, wonderful place to retire, but there's no income tax. I mean, it's a very nice bonus. A lot of people retire there, mostly because of that, a lot of because of that. So if you make under $32,000 a year, then you don't report your Social Security benefits. If you make between 32 and 44, then you have to report 50% of your Social Security benefits. If you make over 44, you have to report 85% of your Social Security benefits. Ouch, right? At least you get away with 15%, no matter how much money you make. However, so what do? Do you try just not to make that much money and you make 32? Does that sound like something you want to shoot for? Probably not, right? But if you can recharacterize your income or change your income in a way that gets you under the 32, then maybe you can minimize some of the taxes on it. So living in the states, as I said, there's 13 states that do tax Social Security income, and they are West Virginia, Colorado, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Utah, Kansas, Minnesota, North Dakota, New Mexico, Missouri, Montana, and Nebraska. Alaska, as previously said, Alaska, Nevada, Florida, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming have no state income tax. New Hampshire and Tennessee do tax dividends at some small rate, but at least they're not taxing Social Security and the rest of it. Okay, so if you can live in those states, at least you don't have to pay any state income tax, which is nice because you're minimizing how much you have to report with them. There is a way to change your income. If you use annuities, you can use an exclusion ratio. So I'll give you a quick example, because the exclusion ratio is kind of like a return of your, basically a return of your principal to you, but they give you an interest rate. It's not such a bad deal. So if it's a 65-year-old person, you invest $100,000 in there. Let's say your life expectancy is 20 years based on the census table. So it's at 240 months. So you're going to get 240 months of payments between $560 to $600. It's going to be one of them, and it's going to stay the same the whole time. However, through this exclusion ratio, $417 of that is return of principal, which means it is not taxable, which means that your income can potentially do what? It can drop, right? However, you can't use it for IRAs. That's the bad news. Regular money you can. Non-qualified or non-IRA money, non-retirement money, you can use that. So if you got 401k, 403b, anything like that, that can't be used in the exclusion ratio. Sorry. The thing that you can use with those, because when you turn 70, the IRS is going to force you to take an income on all of your retirement plans, and they know where all of them are. So the one thing you can do is, if you hold off on taking Social Security until you're 70, it will grow 8% a year from age 66 to 70, or age 67 to 70 if you were born after 1960. So to take advantage of the 8% bump up every single year, what you can do is you can take money out of your IRAs. If you have a Roth IRA, which was created by Philip Roth, Republican from Delaware, back in 1997. Guy didn't even get reelected, gave us this wonderful savings vehicle and couldn't get himself reelected. I don't know, seems crazy to me. But you can get your tax-free income from your Roth IRA, and while you're doing that, you can let your Social Security benefit get those 8% bump ups, and then take it in when you're 70 and stop drawing on your IRAs or your Roth IRAs, and just have them fill in the income gap for you while you're waiting for your Social Security benefits. And then your Social Security benefit will probably be in the neighborhood of about $3,000 or so by then, and that would help you. That would definitely help you live and potentially have a little less reporting of your Social Security benefits and get taxed less on them. The other thing you can do is you can do what's called a QLAC, and this is a qualified longevity annuity contract. And what it does is you take a portion of your annuity, if you have a guy who's got like $500,000 in an IRA, you can take 125 of that, park it in this QLAC, and you can defer payments on it until you're 20 for 20 years. So at age 85, the payments would be like $37,000 or so. However, it allows you to not have to take those required minimum distributions, which can put you in another tax bracket in terms of your Social Security benefits. So QLAC can work pretty well for you by making it so that you don't have to take those required minimum distributions and lowering your income, or recharacterizing your income. The other thing you can do is, if you have, you can invest in municipal bonds and make it tax-free income, because that counts against your Social Security benefits. They include that in. And line 2 of your 1040, you have to list that. The reason why is because they want to include that in your Social Security benefits. It seemed crazy because it's tax-free. Why include it on a 1040? Well, that's the reason why. They want to know how much they can tax you on your Social Security benefits. So the other thing you can do is, if you have stock, if you're deriving income from stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or you got rental property, a bunch of triple deckers all across Brockton, or what have you, You can recharacterize that income too. Let's say you're not even using the income. Let's say you are not even going to use it, you don't live on it, it's just something that just accumulates like CDs in a bank and you just roll them over. If that's the case, you could sell those and get out of those and put them into a deferred product, deferred annuity product, and have it so it's deferred, not taking the income. And you can leave it to your family. You can still get the money and use it and do whatever you need to do. However, it allows you to defer the income on it so that you might potentially be able to lower your Social Security taxes because your income profile is lower. If you truly want to leave an inheritance to those you love or a cause that you believe strongly in, then the other thing you could do with that type of money, including IRAs, whether it's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or rental property or land, as I say, you can always put that into good old-fashioned life insurance, which will be tax deferred anyway. That money will grow in there tax deferred. You can still get at it, you can, through withdrawals. But what it will do, it will allow you to leave that to your heirs tax-free, as life insurance has a tax-free benefit. You're leaving a tax-free legacy to your family or to, as I say, the cause that you care deeply about. If some of these ideas, I went through them kind of quickly, if some of these ideas are something you want to learn more about, you can always consider your CPA, your financial advisor, or you can always call me here. And my number here is, well, I will have the number of my contact info on the caption at the bottom of this YouTube video. But if you do have questions about it, how can this fit in? How can I use these things? I'm more than happy to help. A lot of folks use them. They're legal and absolutely created for the purpose of trying to either leave your family a legacy, as I said, or creating, recharacterizing your income. So until next time, so long.